Southark Spotlight is brought to you by Maxwell Hardwood Flooring. Maxwell Hardwood Flooring, located in Monticello, has been producing quality, solid, and engineered hardwood flooring for over 28 years. The company and sister companies, Ouachita Hardwood and Townsend Inc. in Warren, are proud to be providing American-made flooring to distributors and retailers from coast to coast while serving our local communities right here at home. Maxwell Hardwood Flooring, your best start for a great finish.
Hi there, I'm Rob Reep with SalineRiverChronicle.com. It's so good to have you along for another episode of Southark Spotlight. I'm at a very special place here in South Arkansas, probably one of my favorite spots to visit in all of the state, Morro Bay State Park. I'm here with a very special guest, Mr. Paul Butler, who manages this whole operation here at Morro Bay. Paul, it's great to have you.
Well, thanks. It's great to have you down here.
For our viewers who aren't necessarily familiar or haven't visited Morro Bay in quite a while, what recreation opportunities does Morro Bay offer?
Well, we've got cabins, we've got a campground, and we're here on the Ouachita River where three bodies of water meet, Raymond Lake and Morro Bay. And the water sports, whether it's boating or fishing, a couple local sandbars, that tends to be the main draw. We rent kayaks and pedal boats associated with that. We also have a couple short hiking trails and even hunting opportunities nearby at certain times of the year, though not in the state park.
So tons of stuff to do for outdoorsmen, families looking to have a great time.
Yeah.
Well, this place has a lot of history. I know it goes back to the early not only Native American history, but then early American history in terms of exploration. But what is the reason that this park is here? What's the history of this place?
Well, we have the Morro Bay Ferry here, and that started in 1828, which was actually before Arkansas was even a state. So this area where these bodies of water come together has always been a natural crossing, and there was a small town here. So it's always drawn people, whether it was Native American culture or early settling cultures, even up to this present time where it's recreation and the fun that's associated with the waterways and stuff. So there's a little bit on the Trail of Tears up and down the river, even part of the Civil War era, though not right here. Part of the ambush staged at Mark's Mills. Those soldiers from Union County crossed the river here on the ferry. And some interesting stories to tell up and down the Ouachita River and how it's changed over the years. So.
I'm probably telling a little bit of my age here. I vaguely remember going across on the ferry as a very young child.
Yeah.
So I would assume that's probably going to be anybody under 30 probably doesn't remember that, but it was an experience.
Right. And up till 1992, from 1965 to 92, the only way to cross was the modern ferry, which sits right behind us over here. And I would have been about 11 years old, though I wasn't in this part of the state. I could have crossed it too. Yeah. A lot of people remember riding that and what it was like. Some would miss it, and they say, "Man, I really liked it and enjoyed that." Others like, "I'm glad I didn't have to wait on that dang ferry," because if you didn't get here about 10 o'clock at night, you had to drive an hour and a half around. The bridge was built locally here over the Ouachita River and a smaller bridge over Raymond Lake in 1992. At that point, the highway department who managed it picked it up by crane, and it became an exhibit. And it actually was added, that barge that's there now is over 50 years old and was added to the National Historic Register just a couple years ago.
Wow. Well, tell me about your history here, because you've been here. You've been at Morro Bay for how many years?
It'll be 17 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah. Most of my career.
Quite a career.
Right. And I came here in 2005 and started out as the park interpreter doing tours and programs, and then after 4 years my boss at the time went on to another park and I became the park's superintendent. And we've got a great crew here, great staff and housekeeping and maintenance and the visitor center, and I've enjoyed it. It's a lot of good people in this area, and I get to see people from all over the country, sometimes all over the world. So it's a cool job.
I can't say enough good about your staff. They every time I've been down here, because my family does come down quite a bit, at least a couple of times a year, and have a stay either camping or at one of the cabins, and we're just treated first class here.
Yeah, and we're blessed, man. We're blessed. We got some great people, and that's part of it. The place is important, but the people that take care of it and take care of the people when they're here is also a big piece of the puzzle. for the experiences people can expect when they come here. If you look at the TripAdvisor comments, we've got a 5-star rating, and even in this last couple of years, which has been difficult with COVID restrictions and extra regulations and added visitation and occupancies, still our crew's done, I think, an exceptional job of taking care of the cabins and the campground and the restrooms and all that for people. So.
Well, 17 years here at the park. Obviously, there's been quite a few changes in the world. Social media has come to light.
Yeah.
Saline River Chronicle didn't exist 17 years ago.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest change you've seen?
Well, a lot has changed, and I hear that from people that grew up in this area and maybe haven't been back in a while. But we added cabins, and according to comments from others, some of the nicest that they've ever been in, not just Arkansas but other states. 5 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom cabins. We completely demolished the old campground and built a new one on top of it, adding all 50 amp electrical hookup plus sewer service and water, and that's been super popular. I think the facilities have changed, the culture's changed, but in a lot of ways it's still the same. It's still a great place to come and enjoy the fishing and the campfires and the stuff people were doing here even before it was officially a state park. So this year we actually are on our 50th year since the park was dedicated. So this would be our 50th anniversary since the dedication. But like I say, this area, this location has been popular even before that. So.
Well, what are some of the big annual events? Because I know you guys have had Christmas events in the past, fishing events. What's going on now?
Well, we do a lot of small things with tours and programs and workshops where campfire stories or meet the baby alligator that we keep in the visitor center and teach people about conservation. The large events that we have right now, or we have had up till COVID, was the Perch Jerk Fishing Tournament, which is a big brim and crappie tournament in June. And then we've partnered with Hermitage High School with a cross-country race. And that had about 300 runners and I think 12 or 15 high schools the last time we did that. But that's one of the challenges with the park increasing in occupancy and use. And also at the same time, the budgeting, the staffing has not been as what it once was. Whether or not we were able to continue to do that, those large events is still kind of a question mark. We're going to do the best we can with it. But we're still going to do boat tours and boater education, hunter education, trail hikes, and all that kind of stuff. So.
Well, you mentioned those smaller events. The last time I was here, I think I attended a campfire story segment with one of your park interpreters, and absolutely a blast of an experience. But what kind of small events in terms of those programs? I know you've got some party barges, boats here. What sort of events can people attend if they're staying here?
And that's I think boat tours is the most popular, but we also do a variety of things that are related to the history or sometimes recreation activities like you're talking about with just stories around the campfire, an owl prowl at night, something as fun as what you call where they go a treasure hunt, where they go on a treasure hunt or something, just activities for the kids. So it ranges. We do a lot for school groups too. We get field trips here and they may have specialized programs. They may be studying bears or certain themes in the local libraries that we will cater to help spread the message of conservation and stewardship of the outdoors and what we do here and why Arkansas state parks exist.
You're in a relatively obviously beautiful place, but it is relatively remote.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges you face heading up the park in just day-to-day operations?
Yeah, so 14 miles to the nearest gas station. That's interesting. So we're out here a little bit, but the same as the rest of the world, except a little bit different. Trying to find employees for seasonal help has been a challenge everywhere. Trying to, we got some new kayaks. It took 8 months to get them after they were approved and purchased. Still waiting on a rental boat motor for the boat motors that we ran, the fishing boats we ran. So that's been a challenge, not necessarily unique to us, but I'm trying to think about the different challenges. In law enforcement, sometimes there's challenges. We don't get a lot of problematic people, but but we all live in the same world. We know that not everybody follows the rules all the time, so we have to deal with fishing regulations or say boating regulation issues or things like that, as well as violations in cabins and stuff like that that are a little different.
Yeah, I would assume as you come into the park, there's a sign for the January 1988 high water mark, so flooding can be an issue here.
Oh, yeah. I guess after being here so long, I've almost gotten used to
normal.
it. Yeah, I live here in the park, and I boat my family out to work and school some days, and then come get the employees. And our park is built for flooding, so we don't get a lot of damages.
Yeah.
Our cabins are built up high, our campground's on high ground. But there's times where you literally drive a boat right down the road to get in and out, and you in trying to predict the river forecast for canceling reservations because you have to close because you can't get here. That's interesting. That's a challenge for sure. Trying to think. I don't know. I think all in all, it's a good place to work, and it's got its own unique set of challenges that park people have to deal with, but it's worth it.
Well, you talked about kayaking a few minutes ago. I've kayaked down here many times now, and it is so much fun. It's actually one of the better kayaking experiences in Arkansas, in my opinion. Obviously, it's not white water, but it's peaceful. Mm-hmm. You can do it with your children. It's an easy thing to do. It's quick, easy access, obviously. But one of the things that's always fascinated me every time I come kayaking down here, I always see a different animal.
Yeah.
What animals call this place home? I know it's a very broad question, but you guys have some cool wildlife.
Almost every day, if you go by the field there, large recreation field by the campground, you'll see anywhere from about 10 to 27 deer. And I count them most days, and it's about 15 or 17 white-tailed deer. Yeah. So it's really cool. And a lot of people that are not from around here don't see deer like that everywhere. Those of us that are local are used to white-tailed deer, but lots of squirrels and white-tailed deer. But we've also seen families of otters, beaver, and nutria. We've got bald eagles, a pair that are here commonly year-round. It doesn't mean you'll see them every day, but if you know where to go in a boat, there's a pretty good chance you could find them every day, or at least most days.
Sure.
They're just, at the times when the park gets busy and there's lots of boat traffic and people traffic, those eagles tend to kind of push back further into a little bit more remote areas. And occasionally even alligators. And I won't scare people by that because our local sandbars are full of people swimming and we've never had an alligator incident. But I have photographed 2012 an 8-foot alligator on the bank of the park. So every now and then, I've only seen 7 in 17 years, so that gives you an idea about how often you actually see them. But
unique place to work and a unique experience for visitors.
Yeah.
How can people go about booking accommodations? We've talked about all the recreation, but how do they stay here? And what's available?
So we have, like I say, we have 5 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom cabins. And people will need to book those more in advance recently than they used to. We've seen a notable increase in their use. But you can call the park at 870-463-8555, or you can come by in person. Or the easiest way is to go to arkansasstateparks.com. And on that website, you can click whichever park. You'll click Morro Bay and hit book, make a reservation, hit book now. You can either book a cabin there or you can book one of our campsites. And we have 23, like I say, full AAA hookup campsites. And I tell people you can only make reservations up to a year in advance. And the further you know in advance and can do that, the better off more success you'll have at getting the time you want. But you can book even the cabin you want or an individual campsite. If you want campsite 5 that's on the end close to the water, you can have that one. Or cabin 1 that's a dog-friendly and handicap-accessible cabin that matters to a lot of people. You can book that one. So,
and these are nice cabins as well. It's not an uncomfortable stay.
That's right. Yeah, we've got satellite TV, wireless internet. The linens are washed every day. We've got the triple sheeting, nice beds, comfortable beds, microwave, dishwasher, towels, linens, everything you need other than your food and maybe your fishing pole. Depending on what you'd like to do, and or your binoculars if you want to do some birding and look at. It's another thing. We've got a lot of wading birds that like water, that are unique to see here too.
And if you want to rough it, the campground's right across the way.
Yeah, and you can stay in the tent there too.
Yeah.
But most people, they're set up for RVs and tents. Most people are in RVs these days
Yeah.
in our campground. We get a few in tents also.
I've braved it in tent several times in the summer, which can get a little toasty out here during August. So
You want to bring a fan and extension cord.
Yeah.
That's what that's the way my family did a lot too. We do the air bed and an extension cord.
I've always found though that when you come down here and fish all day, even during August, there's nothing like a fish fry next to your tent at the Morro Bay campsite at night. It's a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah, that's what this park's about. It's about making experiences, having experiences with the people you love, your family and your friends, and making those memories that last. And I think people have rediscovered parks and rediscovered that, some have, during this period where other things were shut down, like movie theaters and theme parks, and now they're spending time together in the outdoors. And I think this is, I don't know that we'll see the 50% continued hired camping and the 41% continued hired cabins, but I think we're going to see more and more people that discover parks and continue to enjoy them in a different way since COVID. So,
well, Paul, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for having us here, and thank you for braving the cold today for our viewers
I hope
who
I'm
can't.
not shivering too much.
Yeah, for the folks that can't feel through the camera, it's around 35, I think, today. So you're out here doing really tough work for Arkansas State Parks. We appreciate it.
You bet.
You have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks.